Fifth Sorrowful Mystery, Crucifixion and Death on the Cross. What I'm about to share with you is a loved one's miraculous journey unto her death. My mom was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer in March 2001. And I remember it vividly. It was around Lent that, when my mom received the diagnosis. And that to me was the cross that my mom was carrying and the cross that I also carried. I remembered because my mom's cancer was kind of advanced, so she pretty much received, I would say, probably one of the most aggressive treatments. She had to undergo, as far as I recall, 40 cycles of chemo treatments and 20 radiation treatments. And as expected, the effects were adverse. I remembered occasions that she would throw up. She would lose appetite. And I remembered she started losing her hair. And I remembered, there were times that she was saying, "Ga," she calls me "Ga" for palangga. If I could shave her hair. But that's one thing that I could not really do. And she actually had to ask my elder sister to do it for her. My mom's suffering was beyond measure, and I could easily liken her journey to Jesus Christ's journey. 14 years of cancer, 14 stations of the cross. My mom we thought, she was in remission. I remember in 2008, when my sister and her family visited us here in the States. And, that was a joyful occasion. The whole family was there. And then a few months down the road, we found out that she had another recurrence. This time, it was in her lung. And so once again, I remembered my mom at some point, she said, if ever her cancer comes back, she didn't want to go through chemo again because she went through the pain, she went through the suffering. But somehow, for whatever reason, my mom decided, I'm still gonna go do it. So once again, she went through another cycles of chemo. And this time, it was difficult for her because she was in and out of the hospital because of infections. And that was her first fall then, that we thought that was it. She had a very bad sepsis infection, so she was in the hospital for about 2 weeks. And I remembered my sister at that time, my elder sister, she was saying, "Am I ready to lose my mom?" But for whatever reason, I told my sister, "You know what, Te? I know my mom can make it. I know she can make it." And, with God's grace, my mom rose up that first fall through God's grace. And so, everything seems back to normal again. And then 2011, when she went through because what happens, she went through a treatment, like a chemo peel, but somehow there was a growth. So she had to change, another kind of treatment. So she was changed, I think her chemo drug was changed to another higher dosage because somehow the cancer kind of already was not reacting. So anyway, so that was 2011, and so we thought, the chemo drug was working again. And then come 2013, another bad news. This time, she had another recurrence in her brachial plexus. And I remembered, actually we went to a family trip in Palm Springs. And that's when we realized that, my mom had a recurrence because she was able to make it down, but she could barely make it up. But somehow, it reminded me how Jesus journeyed, up the hill. My mom tried, no matter how difficult it was, you could hardly hear her complain. And so, she made it to the top. We were actually had to use a wheelchair to bring her up to the top floor. So that was 2013, and my mom had to make a decision whether she had to go through chemo again or try another drug. And that was also the same year that there was an opportunity for my mom to take a trip to the Holy Land, and that was her dream. That was her dream. And honestly, at first, I was like hesitant to have her join that trip because with her condition. But with my mom's faith, she said, God, I know I can make it. And through God's grace, she made that trip to Holy Land, October 2013. And I would say it was really a miracle that she made it to that trip. 10 days without chemo, without treatment. She was able to go up the hill of Mount Olives, take the walks, long walks, without any complaint. And I know in my heart, my mom had so many dreams, so many hopes that she wanted to fulfill. And I remembered each time we stopped by a church, she will always approach a priest or a nun. She would always ask, sister, can you please pray over me? She will always tell, I'm a cancer survivor, and she always requested to be prayed over. And that to me was a very strong manifestation of my mom's faith. And it was truly an inspiration. And so we made it to the trip in 2013, and come 2014, when another miracle, I guess I would say, when my cousin Margarita actually opened the feast in Rancho Santa Margarita because she wanted, for my mom to be able to become part of that feast. And not knowing then that, God has a different plan, that I ended up, my mom has always wanted me to get married. And somehow, through God's grace, I met the man that I would spend the rest of my life with. But coming to that journey, I remember June 2014, my mom had another second close call to death. She had a congestive heart failure. And we thought that was it. And somehow, I think my mom still has a prayer in her heart. I don't know why, but, she got another extension. Come December 2014, December 25, I remember Christmas Day, Christmas night, when my mom had a difficulty breathing. And that time I was, I think at that time I was already engaged. And I was praying in my heart, Lord, it's my mom's dream to see me get married. And then, and this happens. And I was praying in my heart, Lord, pwede bang paki-extend pa? I was asking for more extension. I know I should not ask that because, God has given us so many extensions. And so my mom was able to recover, but not fully. So that was December 2014, and then January 2015, we slowly noticed my mom's weakness. She's not the same as she was like months or years before. And we really saw that she was slowly deteriorating. And I remember we always have this prayer. Every night I always pray, Lord, sana, I hope my mom will be able to attend our wedding. But then it came to a point, especially during her last days, that I figured my mom was really holding on. She was really holding on. She was really holding on. But then it came to a point she would say, Ka, pagod na ako. I'm tired. There's a part of me that I guess I was selfish. I was hoping that, Lord, can you extend it a little bit more? But it came to a point the last few days. Actually, thank God I was able to spend the last few days with her. Wherein my prayer was no longer extend, Lord, bahala na kayo, let your will be done. And I remember during the last few days of my mom, whenever she's in pain, because she's really, can you imagine, she's already in morphine, and yet she still complains that she's hurting. Like a part of me don't want to see her suffer, but a part of me also wants to see her during my special day. And I remember she would always pray, Lord, into your hands I commend my spirit. She will say that repeatedly. She would say, Our Father, Hail Mary, because, I could just imagine the pain that she was suffering. Anyway, on the day, not knowing that that was the day that she was going to go, I remember the last prayer that I had for her. I said, Ma, okay na kami. Bahala na si Lord. And not knowing that evening, she would be called by our Creator on March 9, 2015, just a few weeks ago. And to me, 14 stations, 14 years, was the cross my mom had to bear for us, for her children, for other people. I know throughout that journey, she was praying for a lot of people. A lot of prayers, a lot of miracles have happened during those 14 years. And I just can't thank God enough for all the blessings that He has given us. And I know in my heart that my mom is in a better place right now. No more pain, no more suffering. And I'm sure, and actually the priest who celebrated my mom's memorial service was saying my mom is on her 15th station. So I'm looking forward to that day when I join her. So I guess in today's recollections theme, Victory on the Cross, I guess no matter how difficult or burdensome that suffering that I had to bear, I rest in God's glory and hope that, there's the victory that behind that cross. So, with this, may God be praised.